What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your July 25th daily creative reading. We are going to hop right on in and just start. So I set the intention and we'll see where this takes us. We'll see where the day goes. My sweet potato and I, maybe there we go. That's better. My sweet potato and I would like to welcome you. You can't really see Oliver though. There you go. The star of the show. Doesn't she know? Look at that. Do you see her looking? She's like, yep. Oh my gosh. I love you. Yes, I do. Okay. What's going on, my creative collective spirit? What's going on for my daily creatives for July 25th? Okay, so we have 1 and 2. Okay, so the first one for today says on the back, dun, 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 oh, you are divine beauty, and there's a peacock on there. I like that. And then the one that I'll read at the end, so stay tuned for that, is you are loved. So, okay. Dearest you, we're a chatty bunch over here, always talking about how to support you in your life's journey. We communicate to you through the language of oracles, dreams, signs, metaphors, and omens. In your life on earth, however, clarity in your communication is essential to being understood. Ain't that the truth? You don't speak in symbols, and if you did, you would definitely confuse things. Right now, you're facing a situation in which you're being asked to have integrity, be clear, and learn how to ask for your needs to be met. The first step is to admit out loud that you have needs. The second is to ask out loud for them to be met. And the third is to allow the other person, organization, or even us to answer you. When you follow these steps, you can most definitely expect an answer. In your favor, affirmative, we say. Loving you so very much. Yeah. Okay, let us away. Let us away. My little rose quartz there. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives for July 25th, please? Messages for my daily creatives. Okay, oh, it's upside down. So we have the 8 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles. Woo, maybe that's an energy we're channeling. Bridging energy here. More Pentacles. So Muse of Pentacles. It's not necessarily the card itself, but I tend to read it as a bridging consciousness energy from either one suit to the other or one place to another. So it's sort of like a liminal energy, but one that evolves and transforms our consciousness. So I think it's a pretty good place to be. I'm excited to see what the preventative tower card is here. Okay, more bridging energy. Wow. I'm getting that there's like two. So you're in this sort of like Pentacle and Cups energy. Let me just put the rest out first. I'm getting a couple different messages, but I need more cards to clarify. 9 of Wands. Very interesting. Compelling, I heard. Very compelling. The Hermit. The Sun. More bridging energy. 3 of Cups. Knight of Swords and the 4 of Swords. I want to say that you're kind of in your own energy a lot, and not in a bad way. It's not in a bad way at all. 333 was just on the time. And interestingly, we have 3 bridging energies and the 3 of Cups. So there could be something to that or a significance to that number alignment. I know it's been showing up a lot for me. Like a lot. But this amount of bridging energy, it's almost like there's the consciousness of each suit I'm getting, like the consciousness of the Pentacles, like it's a Pentacles consciousness, a Pentacles awareness. There's a Cup awareness and consciousness. And it's almost like these are coming together in this, it's almost like self-mastery. I'm hearing self-mastery. 8 of Pentacles tends to be a way of it's like a craft, like you're a crafts person, like the skill and craft of something, and also time invested, right? This is a long-term investment. So there could be something that you have your eye on, or there could be something that, this is the other thing too, is I felt this at times where it's like you can feel something shifting. You can't see it. And that's where it's like the challenge is, the Swords was here. So the Cups are your challenge, this bridging of Cups. And it's like when you feel it in your heart center, there's like this bridging that's taking place between what your thoughts are about it and let me turn this light on here so you can see a little better. There we go. what your thoughts are about it. Oh, my ear's ringing in my right ear. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's loud. Um, what was I saying? It's like your thoughts about it and the patterns you have, and then making it real. So it's almost like this sort of you're on the journey towards, and then I think when it arrives, your feeling may be a bit of frustration, and that might be what could become a tower, this Nine of Wands. What I love about this card, though, is it strikes me as, the Nine of Pentacles can be seen as pre-Empress energy, and I feel like, and I've said this before, that this is like pre-Emperor energy, where you're like, you've taken the journey, you've integrated the fire, you're ready to set things down. This is the preparation to end the cycle and know what you want moving forward, right? So this is where that Nine of Wands to me is at once, it's this depth of awareness right before you let shit go. And it's a really great 555 on the time. Yeah, this is like, there's shifts and changes here. There's definitely a consciousness and a depth of consciousness as well. The protagonist energy is the wisdom that you have within, and I think that it's almost like these bridging energies are you going within. That's an energy of you being within, right? So it's taking that journey within, for sure. This is also Virgo energy. So for signs, we have Virgo and Leo. So it could be Leo season and Virgo season, together. That could, that could be, or bookend a time frame within which these things start to come to the fore. I feel like the challenge here is this could be I'm hearing Aquarius full moon. It could be the Aquarius full moon here. And there's a little full moon in their hands. I think that's August 11th. Yeah. I feel like there's going to be information. There's some kind of community or creativity, something to do with other people that's coming to the fore. And it may not be in the way that you expect, because I feel like the way that you expect is kind of up to you. Like you're working away at something and you're investing time in it. But then there's this bridging energy and then a shift. And I feel like this is the realization of your creative power, of your creative capacity, of not just these two things, but I think there's like this power. You're feeling more empowered, right? Like you've walked through, there's like that quiet prayer. I make light of it and will say it, as I'm like walking through like a bookstore, like, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Right. So, it's funny, but it's that kind of thing where it's like, you've walked through and you've come through the other side. You've walked through and come through the other side. Yeah. And I feel like it's almost like you were protected more than you understand, but it's like this way that you had to go into your subconscious. There's some kind of depth that you had to, I'm seeing this like underbelly or underworld type idea in terms of mythology and mythos, but not necessarily in a way that's like the underworld as in Hades or anything like that. It's more so your subconscious that you kind of journeyed into with this sense of frustration. And it doesn't mean that you went on this like, length of journey. I think this can also just mean that you took that journey, even if it's just a journal reflection where it generates an epiphany or an aha moment for later, right? Where it's something along those lines, right? Yeah, there's very grounded energy here though, grounded fire, which I think is really helpful when you have this. The consciousness energy strikes me as this ethereal, not disconnected, but it's certainly not, it's hard for it to take root because it's not meant to. It's meant to get you from one to another place in my reading of these cards. And I feel like the challenge here showing up is the bridging energy of the cups, right? It's the bridging energy of the cups, because you might feel like you have to feel your way through a lot of this, which is not wrong. It's not wrong, nor is it untrue. And I think that can be the frustrating part. So it's almost like taking this and I think the way that this will be realized is by channeling your creativity through your heart center, perhaps in celebration with others or in ways where you might work with others or turning to others, right? The Three of Cups tends to be a celebration and a sort of festive energy, right? Like a coming together is, it is a truly beautiful energy. I'm reading from this, though, that there's aspects of things still unseen because of the presence and the predominance of the moon energy, which is not uncommon to see in themes for the cups and things like that. So I feel like there's this beautiful water energy that is here, not just in the challenge, but in the overcoming. So it's almost like integrating what you can't see and understanding things through the eyes of your heart are going to be really powerful, because I feel like there's a lot of fire that you're transmuting, right? The Nine of Wands is a frustrated fire. And then the antagonist energy is showing up as the sun. And I don't think it's an antagonist based on something for you. I think it's that, this transmutation of joy, because the hermit here in the protagonist is in a desert, and the sun is very conducive to that, right? So I think here it's like the protagonist energy is being where you are, but there's this sense of the way that, how do I word this? The way that this is showing up is it's like you're sitting in a desert, and if you look for a boat, it's a misapplication of the energy. So I feel like you need to find joy where you are and joy in what you're doing, 11:11 on the time, because that is going to be profoundly helpful for you. There's like, I'm feeling this like pang of certainty about something. Like it's just like this depth of, there's like a certainty, but I don't understand what that is for you. Yeah, it's not coming through. And that just tells me I'm not meant to know it or express it, because certainty can be tricky, because it's like an ego thing, right? Where we're certain about something, but for what and why? Why do we need to be certain? And is it a knowing, right? So how is that knowing different from a certainty? It depends on what we anchor it in and why we feel we need it. But whatever this energy is, I feel like this is just also a present moment awareness. Present moment awareness. We'll clarify more just to get some more details here, but there is forward movement here. You might have felt a little bit stuck, and this bridging consciousness energy can come up because there's a lot of things that are, the way I look at it is there's sometimes these like creeper plants that get in the garden. That's not the technical term for them at all, but I think about the time that I have in the garden out back where I'm living right now, and I didn't tend to it at all this year. It was just not like my energy was not present for it. But that has taken over so much because it spreads, right? It has this spreading quality. So like I certainly need to harvest it. And it's survived through the heat wave. It's like, it's incredible. So it's quite hardy, but it's this way that it can anchor into the ground where you pull up what you think is the root, but because it spreads more like a rhizome, this bridging energy is almost like finding the rhizome pieces of negative consciousness or negative energy and pulling it up and pulling it out, right? And I think that's what that's how it's like that's what the purpose of this is for, and that's what this is. It's not to uproot altogether. It's not to uproot. It's to allow for a new anchor to take place, because the Eight of Pentacles, as much as it is, the master of your craft and art, it's like an artistry. It's also, it can feel like stagnant, right? Because your hands are so full that you've had to like grow new extensions of your energy in order to balance things, right? And that can leave you feeling stuck, because each of these different ways of holding energy could be used in a different way. Like it could be used to serve you, it could be used to fill up your cup, but instead it's an externally directed energy as opposed to an internally directed one. So that can feel like stagnancy, and it kind of is too, right? So a little bit. I feel that your best bet too is to look for the light within you. We can feel the warmth of the sun, but it isn't until we go to these places internally and remember. And I think this is a remembering, not a journey that you're on necessarily. You could be on this hermit, you could be in hermit phase, but it's like when you look for the sun within you. Oh, I have a sun on my shirt. That's fun. I didn't even realize. When you look for the sun within you, right, as opposed to somewhere outside of you. That actually helps profoundly. And that could be part of why this is showing up in an antagonist energy as well, is because when you look for it outside of you, it will always elude you. It will always be evasive. You will not find it with the same measure and degree of success as you will inside you. And I'm thinking the Albert Camus quote, something about inside me, I found an infinite summer. And just remembering that, and that it can feel like, if you feel frustrated, it means that you're on the verge of a breakthrough. If you feel like, oh, this is so annoying, and you're like, even if you're annoyed by yourself, right? Like that can be the case too. And I feel like that's the verge of a breakthrough. That's the verge of a breakthrough, but you have to hang in long enough to sit with that energy for the breakthrough, and to be grateful for where you are regardless, so that you can be present to it. Because sometimes that really does whisper, right? It really does whisper. And I feel like that's kind of the case here, where there's this way that your heart is opening up, not just to new connections and working with people, but there's a way that this bridging energy, it's almost like I'm just getting this beautiful, like I'm seeing this like sense of like dry. So while I was on a hike last week on Friday at Forks of the Credit Provincial Park, and one part of on the hill had been washed out. The trail was washed out because of presumably a mudslide, right? You could see these aspects where like the ground was like rippled, and it's dry, so it was relatively safe just to step on for a moment. I was definitely cautious, and they didn't want people going there, so of course I went a little bit there. But maintaining safety and all of that, and not being silly. But I was just looking at the cracked earth, and it illuminated and kind of made real a vision that I had of just the ways that we can try and ground ourselves and feel like we're like it's eluding us, right? Like I felt once while I was watching a reading that it felt like somebody had just poured water into this cracked earth that I was trying to like get a grasp on, to make some kind of sense of, and I feel like that's what's happening here in a way. And it's going to mobilize you to be able to move forward on something. Yes, you're going to get the clarity, but I feel like it's this sort of in between. It's this in between that might feel kind of awkward. It might feel not silly, but you might feel silly because you may be used to being in this Knight of Swords energy, or this directed energy, and it really requires more rest. Rest is the key. So it's kind of like a backwards awakening in some way, which is really just awakening, but it's backwards in the way that we're taught things about productivity, right? I went on while on that hike, there was one point, I put it in the affirmation video for Sunday, so go ahead and give it a watch if you want. But at the very end, the very last clip in that affirmation video was of this scene where I, came back from the waterfall, and I stopped, and I teared up because it was so breathtaking. You could see the escarpment in the distance, and it was breathtaking. And I just thought, wow, like this is Earth. Like this is how did we land here? How lucky are we to be here? Like it took my breath away. And I was just so in awe. But it's that sense of inspiration is coming from rest, right? I mean, active rest. I was hiking during a heat alert, which I wouldn't recommend. And if you do, make sure you have electrolytes. Yeah. So, but it's like making sure that your body is taken care of, in terms of this rest piece. And it's almost like when your body, for me at least, it's like an active rest. And I've learned to respect this part of the ADHD stuff where it can feel a little bit like fidgety. It can feel like you need to move sometimes, but just allowing your body to move so that your mind can be at peace, right? That's why I run as well. But ultimately, this rest is the big story here for you. There's just this sense of awareness. It's like getting back in touch with your infinite self, because when you allow yourself to rest, you recognize that time is like there's an abundance of time. You're not scrambling trying to make time because there's a recognition, right? That's what I think the most powerful affirmation that rest provides us with. The most powerful affirmation that rest provides us with is this sense of ourselves where we're part of this infinite tapestry woven in and through, but it comes from this abundance of time, right? So, Spirit, what messages do you have for my creative collective, my daily creatives, to clarify this? We have the Five of Wands. I almost get like there's the message here, the big message here is just this sort of what feels like a pause. Like it feels like a bit of a pause. It's a nuanced pause, that's for sure. But at least it looks like a pause to other people. It's still something where you're in motion. And the Sun came out again. I've been getting that card a bit. Five of Wands and the Sun. In a way, I feel like the Five of Wands is showing up here as this, like, it's almost like you're not conflicted. Like, this is something that you're integrating your experiences with this perhaps competitive energy as training, right? Like, as you've integrated it in a way that's helps to heal your perspective so that when this, in this Knight of Swords energy, you can move forward, right? You can move forward. You could be getting a message. I just heard the word messenger because this reminded me of Hermes a little bit. And then I heard the word message and then messenger. So it could be someone reaching out to you. I don't, I'm inclined to say like, oh, it could be an air sign, but it could be anybody really. This could also represent opportunities for you to communicate about what you find when you're in this rest state, right? It could be renewed energy or ideas that come to you, and then you're going to be able to offer them up or offer them outwards. Okay, so the Sun. That's like, the Sun is out twice. Nine of Cups, wow. I feel, it's like it's all coming together. It's all coming together here. The Emperor. Yeah. It's definitely all coming together. And that's where, the Nine of Wands to me represents this pre-Emperor energy where it's the integration of your fire. It's the integration of your fire. And even if you're, like a water and an earth sign, right, predominantly, it's still, there's still fire in your chart. That's still your passion. That's still your creativity. That's still your, drive and ambition. I feel though like this is you taking charge, like the rest, you needed the rest to be able to understand. You needed the rest to be able to understand, and then this is the integration, right? The integration of what you want, understanding where you are, emotionally fulfilled and ready for more, that joyous movement forward. You're happy with what you're doing, right? A lot of these are fortuitous for wish fulfillment as well. So make sure that you wish big. Make sure that you wish big. So what came out was so we have the Knight of Pentacles here, which is again that slow moving energy. But I feel like that's kind of this feeling of stuck, like it's forward movement. And if you need the reminder that it is forward movement, it's here. Then we have the Seven of Pentacles, the King of Wands, the King of Wands, the King of Pentacles, and the Lovers. Could be fire and earth that you're dealing with, possibly. But these are also elements of, like, you could be trying to ground your fire, right? You could be trying to ground fire that's in your chart. And the Lovers here it represents Gemini energy and choices. You could have choices to make, but it could also be like, this could represent connection and relationship as well that meets you on this path. Because I feel like this waiting was about clarifying your values and clarifying what's most important to you. Because two kings showed up here after this, after the Seven of Pentacles, which the Seven of Pentacles can represent more stuck and waiting energy. So I feel like the biggest thing that you need to do right now, my darling daily creatives, is have just a little bit of patience and faith, right? The Death card. Yeah. It's the leaving behind of what wasn't working, but what feels like stuck energy is really just this transformation of consciousness. The amount of bridging energy here is like pause. Like that's like, right. You might be now, I feel like you're getting to the point in your energy where you're ready to play, right? And to play is in like being frisky and all of that fun stuff. But then there's also this sense of, work as play too. So we have the Death card. So in terms of signs, we have Aries and Scorpio and Gemini as well. And Leo again. And Virgo. Seven of Swords. I get the impression that I'm getting the impression that there may have been ways that what burdened you, and the reason why this bridging energy came up was because there was a lot of I heard the word before and I was like, that is brilliant, but untoward. Like when people are coming towards you in a way that's outside of integrity with who you know them to be, you may feel inclined to sit on your truth and to be like, whoa, and to hold back, right? Like to hold part of you back. And I think the most important thing to remember right now is that you are transforming, you are changing. So to be very gentle and compassionate with yourself, because, you may be inclined to, I feel like in the way that this is showing up intuitively and in this card, this is also rest, right? This is also calling for rest so that you can see clearly, so that you can see very clearly. Because it's, yeah, the Knight of Cups, because your heart is speaking to you right now. Your heart is talking to you, and more than, the Fool. Geez, new beginnings. Yeah, there's new. A lot of new. And that's what this bridging energy can often, denote, is that there is new here, right? You're in this in-between place, and right before the breakthrough, you're 3 feet from gold. So whatever you're doing, don't stop, A. And B, just remember that this is part of your transformation. And, we don't always recognize, I think about that. There's a scene there's a scene in one of the Harry Potter movies. I'm remiss to talk much about it, but where Harry thinks that the Phoenix is dying, right? Harry thinks the Phoenix is dying because it's crying and it's molting and just like it doesn't look great. It looks like this, pretty much. It looks like this, but then what it's actually doing is being reborn. So it's like we can get our perception slightly twisted and wrapped around. But that's where it's like, this is, you're being reborn. Literally the egg, no, that's not the egg, but you're being reborn. So just allowing that process to happen, because it's like you're giving birth to yourself, which is a different process than something giving birth to you, right? So just keep that in mind. Bridging energy, and we have the Hermit, and we have the Ten of Swords. Spirit, what additional messages do you have for my creative collective, my daily creatives, please? Okay. Judgment. Yep. There's a lot of decisions that are going like this. It's like choices, right? Choices for sure. The Star. It may not have felt great to go through this, but you're so much wiser for what you've experienced. And I almost feel like this is like a guiding light for others, right? You're soaring, your wings are spread and you're soaring. And this is allowing you to, I feel like there's a way that you're a beacon for others, right? That's the Hermit energy, is traditionally holding the lamp, right? And I feel like the Star is in this, like, it's more visible than other constellations around it. This bird is more visible than the other birds around it. It's like you're breaking free from something. And it's not that you're doing it with the intention of showing other people how it's done. It's not in that, with this Leo energy, it's there's like a little bit of like, look at me, look at everyone. Is everyone watching? Right? Like it's that kind of playful energy. But I also feel like it's not in that. You're doing this, you're transforming. And it could, even if you're doing this and not on a large scale, like in the everyday, the way that you choose kindness, the way that you choose love, the way that you choose to talk about specific things over others, that also holds a light up for other people. So it's almost like you're becoming a teacher. You're becoming the Hermit to other people. The Sun, Ace of Wands, Nine of Wands, Temperance, and that is the, that's the Nine of Swords. Yeah. And then we have the Chariot. I'm here. I just heard the words onward and upward. And that's kind of what I feel like you're doing. Like you take the burdens, right? This 10 of Wands energy that could be that you release. You have the 10 of Swords here. And I think about the 10 of Wands just as part of the 9 of Wands. And then this inspiration comes, right? So that's where you have this Ace of Wands, this inspiration that's coming because there's space within you, because you've taken that rest. 9 of Wands is, to me, this is almost like allowing the burdens that you've experienced to become a way for you to ascend in your consciousness. And that's what's happening, right? That's like this bridge, again, bridging energy. Again, you can't really see it. The moon is here thematically speaking, and the presence of this so much tells me that there's a way that things are a little bit unclear. So you're going to have to do this one step at a time thing, and that might feel frustrating, but follow your inspiration, because it is the breadcrumb trail that will lead you to this way of not just ending a cycle, but I think it's also this way of paving a path for yourself that other people might see and go, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Because you've done it, right? You've done it, or you're doing it. And it allows other people to follow as well. So we also have the Temperance card here, which is Sagittarian energy. And I associate this with Jupiter and the wheel. And to me, it's a bit of an expansion of your personal philosophy of the way that you not just transformed, but I think different aspects of your relationship to the world. Which sounds like, that sounds so general. What I'm thinking about is just what you believe about yourself, what you believe about others, what you believe is possible. The 8 of Pentacles is a very, that's like a one-on-one energy, right? Like that's like you're doing things, your hand is in the pot and spirit is there. You're recognizing it, but not to the same extent that you do in the Sun, the Ace of Wands, the 9 of Wands, and Temperance, right? There's this incredible balance that returns because you're resting on the one hand, but rest is there's a restoration here, but there's also a regenerative capacity of this too, right? And when we think of the Phoenix tears, right, it's like it's the tears that aren't putting out the fire but that are starting it. So it's this beautiful, I'm seeing in this card at least intuitively, this beautiful way that this balance of emotion is stoking your fire. That's what's sparking this Ace of Wands. And the 9 of Wands here is, it's almost like this way, again, I get this this sort of compost, compost and composting, the way that one thing can be broken down and turned into food, turned into nourishment, turned into rich fertilizer for other things to grow, right? That's really what this is doing. And you might be worried. You might be a bit worried. There's definite worry here. But I don't feel like it's enough to stop you. And if you see worry as the possibility and potential to help you to get to this regenerative place, to use that as this regenerative awareness, right? That's what compost kind of is. It will help to mobilize and move you forward. It helps to move you forward. And the Chariot is Cancerian energy, which is the season we're in now. But it's this energy of, it's this energy of emotional integration and forward movement, right? And I think this is different from the Knight of Swords, because the Knight of Swords strikes me as an energy of in-betweens as well, right? The Knights are energies that start at a place and then go to another. It's very limited, right? It's very limited. But the Chariot energy here strikes me as true freedom. Like this is where you're free to gallop in fields and across and towards and in between. There's this way, it's like a transcendent kind of movement, really. And I feel like that's where this is kind of headed. And I think this is just a reminder that that's the direction you're going in, based on the cards here anyway. So let's read this card here. So it says, you are loved. Okay. Dearest you, everything is in divine order. Even in chaos, there is order, and we are always in awe of this. For you, though, on your human journey, things can get disorganized in your mind and physical reality. You need to get rid of the clutter, whether it be too many stories in your mind, too many what-ifs, or fearful thoughts of the past or future. Instead, focus on the now. Empty your mind, clean your house, and throw out any object that tells you an uncomfortable story. Discern what you have. Sort, purge, clear, and organize. That's really what I get this image to be, right? This compost energy. Empty your mind, clean your house, throw out any object that tells you an uncomfortable story. Discern what you have, sort, purge, clear, and organize. We want you to have space to fill with something better. Spirit loves a vacuum as it gives space for brilliant new energy, that Ace of Wands, right? Let go of what is not serving you and give order to what remains. See them and know their value. Your soul needs organization in order to keep your connection to us and to spirit free of distractions. You are so adored by so many. We hope you really know that. Yeah, that's beautiful, right? And I think that that just summarizes exactly what we're seeing here. So I'm going to pull an affirmation card for you just to take with you for the day. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives to close out this reading to take with them for the day? It's a source of strength, power, and light, and love, of course. I am creative. With all the sun energy here, yeah, and the Three of Cups, that's definite creative energy. It's like leaning into the liminal. That's really what this is. Honor your unique gifts. Think of 3 ways you could express your creativity today, and then presumably do it. And it's not going to look the same all the time, right? It's not going to look the same all the time. It's going to sometimes look like, expressing your creativity in terms of finding different ways of seeing things, or finding, humor in the little things, seeing how big the circle is and finding creative ways to bring more people into it, right? It could just be funny ways that you greet people. It could be anything, right? So it's just finding and leaning into that creativity. So that is your message today, my daily creatives. I hope that this resonated. If it did, please give it a like and subscribe. I would love to have you on the channel if you are not already, but if you are joining me from my subscriber base, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. So thank you. And as always, wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, I hope that it finds you very well, my darlings. Take care.